How about today we tell you about very special Taylor Koa guitars that you can only get at Alamo Music. Stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and if you'd like to support the channel, visit our spring store for our custom designed t-shirts. Or, you can buy one of these. And these are...
Look at that.
Amazing. So, we're kind of giddy. These are special Alamo Music exclusive Taylor K24ce models. They just arrived like literally today. Cooper and I got our hot little hands on them. We've been waiting for these to come in since we ordered them, and they are phenomenal. Now, if you've been watching our channel for any period of time, we've done a few exclusives where we have collaborated with Taylor and done some special models that would typically be custom shop, if you could even do it in the custom shop in certain cases. But at a value price compared to going custom, because custom is like a la carte. Mm-hmm. It's like going to a tapas bar where every single thing is its own price. And so that's expensive, and this is another way of doing it. We get a bunch of them, we bring the cost down, we bring the savings to you, and you get amazing opportunity to get these guitars. So we've done 914 CEs, which we call the Chris McKee model. It's based upon my old 914. We did some really cool 814s, which we just got more of. With Adirondack and vintage inlay, vintage back in the day, Kind of the same thing going on here, but this was a very cool collaboration with our rep and friend, J.R. Robeson. He's like, hey, I have an idea, and I'm like, I love that idea, but I want to do some other stuff. And then, I don't know if I told you this.
What was the idea that J.R. started with, first of all?
He's like, how about we do a unstained K24ce, maybe with some upgrade Koa.
Beautiful idea,
It's awesome, already awesome.
Start.
Yeah. And there was a bit of push and pull to get some things I wanted on here. So let's talk about them. First of all, we have a number coming in, but these are the first two we've unboxed. And
how can you beat that? The show on the back as well. Because
man,
that's like, we were talking right before we started shooting this, like JR said, unstained K24. It's almost like sacrilegious that this Koa could possibly have been stained on another guitar, Like, who doesn't want to see as much of that as possible?
It's ridiculous. That's what it is.
And the sides on those,
it's just absolutely
amazing.
Beautiful wood. Now, okay, so here's the impetus for the idea. I've been a Taylor player and fan since the late 90s. And I've talked a little bit about this. When I was graduating high school, going to college, where I went, there were a lot of guitar players, and we would order on the internet these catalogs from Taylor. This is how long ago it was. They shipped catalogs back then. And they were very nice. I'll have to show one day, but they were these very nice red catalogs with an embossed Taylor logo that had this beautiful photography in it. And the Koa guitars in there were ridiculously beautiful. And they were actually in two places. The Koa series, and their presentation guitars back then were Koa, which were also just the most ridiculous Koa you've ever seen. Now, the specs of those guitars were, there was no stain, there was no edge burst, there was none of that. And I really love high quality, flamey Koa that has all of these burnished oranges and blondes and dark brown and black streaks through it with flame. That's what wakes me up and gets me going in the morning, is like Koa guitars that look like that. And the Koa guitars that Taylor makes now are absolutely beautiful, but I kind of pined for that classic look. And so we put our heads together and we've come up with this. So I'll go through all the specs, but before we do, your first impressions on these guitars.
It seems kind of like the love letter to Koa guitar. You know what I'm saying? Because there's absolutely nothing to distract from the fact that it's the best Koa on the top and the back and sides and everything. So this is AA grade.
Yeah.
And we opened this one first, and I was like, there's no way it can get better than that. And then he opened that one, which they're kind of equal, but it's totally different.
Yeah, that was a little darker. This one's got a little bit more light streaks going through it. And so you've got the flame, and then you've got this variation. And the other thing that we should note, and by the way, this is like a little educational thing, is some people look at Koa guitars that have like this incredible wavy grain and they're like, that's amazing. Yeah, it looks amazing, but you want to kind of make sure that, particularly for the top, that there's some straight grain in there, because the way the grain moves is how the top really moves. It's wood after all, right? And so you can see how straight the grain is in the background.
It's literally like a 3D hologram Koa. One of the only things that I've seen that this reminds me of in person was that Kenny Loggins. The incredible
and that was from
Koa
back in the day.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say this. There was a lot more really good Koa available back in the day, okay? For a number of reasons. You can still obviously get really nice Koa, but it's no longer the stuff that generally shows up on the standard guitars. A reason for doing edge bursts is that you can take what's there, which is flame, and accentuate it, really bring it out more. It's already there in the wood. And so that's, I think, part of the reason for the edge burst is dealing with the lack of figure that there used to be. And then making sure that the stuff that is very highly figured like this is more special and kind of reserved. And so part of that is I don't know how many of these we're going to get, because Koa is already kind of hard to get. You know, and getting really dramatically impressive Koa like this is even harder to get. So let's break down what we've done spec-wise. So these are K24ce models. They're Grand Auditorium's solid Koa top, back, and sides. The back and sides are Koa. They are it's unstained, and they're 2 or 4 piece backs, which is really cool. They call that a Simmons wedge on the spec sheet. I don't know, or Simon's wedge. Thank you, Simon. And then the top is upgraded AA Koa, because that's what everyone's going to see, right? Got to put the window dressing up in the front. So absolutely beautiful. Binding, pale maple, rosettes, that pale maple rosewood. And then we've done something here like we've been doing on the other exclusive guitars on the fretboard. And this is the older Koa inlay. This is actually called the GA Limited. Do you know why it's called the GA Limited? A little Taylor trivia for you.
I don't. You got to give me the scoop.
So this inlay was what was initially on the Grand Auditorium limited edition guitars that were launched when Taylor introduced that body shape, which I think was 94. So 1994, Bob Taylor comes out with a body shape which everyone in the industry is like trying to copy. And it's basically taking a dreadnought, bringing in the waist, and creating this bit more voluptuous guitar that is kind of a jack of all trades, does everything very, very well. And so that was the inlay that graced those limited edition guitars when they first came out in 94. And then the Koa series from the late 90s to the early 2000s had this inlay as well. My sister-in-law has a K14 that has this inlay. And I've just always loved this because it's simple, but it's not. There's like some very nuanced, creative, cool stuff going on with the design there, where it's basically like 2 waves intersecting to create a ebony dot in the middle.
Complements the Koa and kind of the Hawaiian nature of Koa too, I think. So is that abalone?
This is green abalone for the inlays,
Nice.
And so we've got, of course, mahogany necks coming up here to your ebony headstock. Just really plain, perfect, no unnecessary adornment there. You've got the classic Taylor logo inlaid in mother of pearl, and then this wonderful outlining with the maple.
Is that, pale maple all the way down?
Yeah, it just makes it beautiful. It really offsets it. I think it's classy. We went with the Goto tuners because they're the best. So satin, gold, 510 tuners. And then this was the part that had some push and pull. I wanted silent satin finish. So of course it's a V-class braced guitar, and typically that's only been on a builder's edition. And I kind of fought it with them a bit, and eventually they were like, yeah, we can do that. Now this isn't 100%, but I'm pretty sure that outside of builder's editions, these are the first guitars to get silent satin finish on them.
It looks really nice. It feels incredibly nice. I think that sometimes on the silent satin, when there is a pick guard, I think about it in terms of looks and everything, but when I was using a pick and kind of my pinky, they're kind of touching the guitar, it's like the nicest feeling
Super
thing.
smooth.
I mean, like it's practical and it looks great and everything. But I just love the way it feels.
Now, one of the only concern I really had in building these was, will the Koa pop without a gloss finish? Because gloss tends to deepen colors and really bring out nuances in wood grain, and so it really makes it pop. And these absolutely pop.
Yeah.
They are just beautiful. And the reason I like the silent satin, I've really grown to kind of wish some of my guitars had kind of a silent satin finish. It feels at this point more upscale to me, more like an orchestral instrument, really an instrument meant to be played. And in this particular case, yeah, they just look stunning.
That's kind of one of the problems for me with gloss guitars, is that they look perfect when you polish them up and everything, and the moment you put your hand on it, it's got what appears to be a blemish, and then you have to go back and polish it off after you're playing. But if you're playing a show, if you're playing at the church and you got lights on you, and you touch your guitar, everybody sees it. And it's almost like, I know Chris feels the same way. We were conditioned to thinking that high-end guitars have nice gloss finishes. Yeah,
we were talking about this, that in the past, I would have looked at a satin finish as being a more affordable, because typical satin was the more affordable option. Another customer of ours who loves Taylor and who's bought some satin finish guitars now, he said the same thing, Jeff. He was like, yeah, I used to think that meant cheap. And it's kind of, you start rethinking things once you start playing them and really looking at them and appreciating the beauty of the instrument and the fact that this type of finish allows it to resonate more anyway. So yeah, it was a great opportunity to do something like this, and I'm glad that they allowed us to. So thank you, Taylor, for letting us collaborate on amazing guitars like this with you.
Well, I'm glad that you allowed me to do the demos.
The least I could do.
Because I've been itching for it. And the last time we had like limited Koa guitars, I got to do the demos.
I never even got to touch those, so at least I get to play these this time. But yeah, wonderful demo. So listen for yourself. Again, these are all Koa guitars. There's very specific to knowledge that you're going to get out of it. So put on your headphones or listen on really good speakers and check it out for yourself. So, wonderful demo. This is how I lose my job. Thanks, Cooper.
Hey, this guitar is your brainchild. I just played it. All right.
But Koa has a great sound to it. Now, I want to get your thoughts, and then I'll kind of articulate my feelings as we try to describe sound.
Yeah, you got to describe sound. Onomatopoeia. Bang, boom, pow.
Squash,
yeah.
pop.
I was just playing around on it while Josh was setting up, and he was like, man, I know you're not even picking that very hard, and I can hear it so clearly across the room. It just, it rings like a bell. It's pretty insane. And obviously the bell-like chime, the Taylor, the crystalline high end, but it's just a deep, full, balanced sound, and it's warm. Again, this is the folly of trying to describe sounds, but it's a really, really pretty sound, and something about Koa gives you that kind of warm and fuzzy feeling, you know. And I think it's a subtle sound. It's nothing that like is too wacky and out there, but it just sits right in the middle of this very perfect kind of vibe.
It's kind of like sitting next to a fire that might look a bit like this, you know, and enjoying that warmth on a cool day. That's kind of what the sound coming out of these guitars is like.
Yeah, and it's like the coldest day in the last year, so it's perfect timing to get these
warm our
ones in there.
hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, they have a fantastic warmth to them. Here's the thing with Koa guitars. An all Koa guitar, Koa top, back, and sides, is a lot like an all mahogany guitar, but prettier. And with things going for it that all mahogany guitars don't have. So there's a bit more treble bite to it. It's still got that warmth in the mid-range. It compresses like an all mahogany guitar does, but it also has a bit more low end. And so it's got this mid-peak, but it's a bigger mid-peak than mahogany. And over time, Koa opens up more to the bass side. And so it gets even warmer and richer as time goes on. And so if you play this hard, because it's a Koa top, it compresses really nicely. But to your point, these are very resonant, like surprisingly.
It's like you barely touch it and the sound just travels. Chris and I have been working hard behind the scenes to put together a new podcast, and we've been having a lot of really fun conversations that will come out sometime soon, and we'll start rolling forward from there. But one of the most recent things that we talked about was the dilemma of designing a guitar, putting together something that you have not had the opportunity to play because you know it's going to look good, and the formula and knowing what you know about the Tonewoods, it should sound really good, but you can't know until you play it.
Right, the payoff is always a question mark until it's in your hands, and so you go in and you design, and if you're doing this as a customer, you're spending lots of money on a custom item, hoping it works out.
Yeah, and the cool thing with all the exclusive Taylors that we've done so far, the 914CE, 814CE, and now this, we knew that they were going to look really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we're basing them off of guitars that we already love, but the little tweaks, there's something about just hearing it for the first time after I've heard Chris talk about this guitar quite a bit, getting to play it, and then that payoff of like, man, it worked out. It's perfect, you know? So it's a really a cool thing to have Taylor let us do this and then get to hear about this beforehand and now come to life, and it's better than you expect, you know?
You ever think about this is our job? This is our job.
Let's make all the guitars. We got to make them all.
That's fun stuff.
We're building them. We're back there. We've been working hard.
He's got a little planer
little spoke shave going on.
That's what's next. Okay, so fantastic guitars. So here's how it's working out with these exclusives. We designed these with Taylor. Again, thank you, Taylor. Thank you, JR. And we get them in, and we're able to do this by buying a certain amount. As we're able to, get more. They are limited in number. They are not limited to a specific number, but the truth of it is they are limited to the supply constraints or the wood that's available. With these, if we try to get some more, I know that that's probably going to be a hang-up. We're already dealing with that with another one of our exclusives of just the wood not being available. We're having to wait, see if we can do more. So with that said, if, like us, you are enamored with these guitars, you want to go to our website.
It's alamomusic.com.
He knows what it is. I don't know what the URL is.
I go on there all the time. I'm just chatting.
So seriously, you want to come in, call, or go to our website to check these out. You can chat with someone. You can check out the photos we're going to have of these up online. And each one of these is going to be different, just like you can see with these two. And so reach out to one of our sales staff and work with them to see what's available, and we will get these to you. Now, the nice thing about these two is we had a kind of a target, okay? And we were able to do these for $57.99. And I think brings that balance of modern Taylor design with some of that vintage Taylor design aesthetic into the mix with just some beautiful wood. So
yeah, so you got your regular K24ce. Over here you got your K24ce Builder's Edition, and right here you got the Player's Edition. All right,
like
this is the K24ce Player's Edition, meant to be played, ready to go. Nothing's distracting from the sound and the beautiful Koa.
Absolutely. Yeah, it speaks for itself. There you go. The Koa shining through. So those are my instructions for you. If you're interested, hit us up, and we will be getting more of these in. We've gotten a partial part of our order so far, and we're excited to bring them to you. So, and we will keep doing exclusives like this. We have some ideas that we will not tell you right now. It's in our little heads, but you will find out about those if you subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos, and keep coming back for more. I always say at the end of the day, the very best guitar in the world is the one that you're playing. Today, it might be the one in my lap. So that's my opinion today. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.